The showcase is intended to help the students and the teachers reflect on their teaching and their writing in the semester. So you'll see that most of the posters will have not only what the student did as the focus of the poster, but it'll also have a reflection on that piece and a reflection by the teacher. And that way you get perspectives on what the assignment was, how it was carried out, what later after the class is over the person thinks about the piece, and how the teacher sees it as well.
The showcase is basically a display or an exhibition or a party almost that celebrates the best student writing, research, digital media projects that come out of English 106 or 108 during the academic year. So it's really just kind of a celebration of some of that best stuff that we can kind of get out to the public and let them know that ICAP or Introductory Composition at Purdue is more than just teaching students where to put commas and that sort of stuff.
I think that the showcase for those of us that are, in the program in the department is pretty rewarding because it gives us the opportunity to kind of show off, show what kinds of cool things our students are doing, as well as it gives us an opportunity to be proud of the work that we do. Because, as you know, or any 106 or any instructor knows, period, it can often be a seemingly unrewarding job, but to see the great things the students do and the great projects that come out of it gives us a chance to be proud of what we do.
The Introductory Composition course transitioned to what it is now, which is basically, as opposed to meeting a couple times a week, it became a 4-day-a-week course with 2 days in a regular traditional classroom, 1 day in a lab, and then 2 days a week for the instructor to meet with half the students in conferences. So when we kind of made that transition to include conferences and lab days, we also started the showcase in order to kind of demonstrate some of the outcomes of that approach. So in 2004 we did a student showcase. I think in 2006 we added an instructor component to the showcase so that we could showcase some of the best student work as well as some of the work that our teachers are doing, our introductory composition teachers who are doing some really innovative and interesting things.
I think that we need to be looking for ways to make writing public. And, I had students in there talking very passionately about their ideas and asking me for advice about who should they talk to get this implemented. And you wouldn't necessarily have that sort of investment from your students if it's just the teacher and the students.
The project that I worked on with one of my students for the showcase was a project about our writing groups for English 106, and it demonstrates how we create community in our writing groups. And writing groups are a way that we use conferences. So for our conference days, students are in groups of 3 to 4 and they meet every conference throughout the semester. As teachers, I think writing groups give us another way of thinking about conferencing. So rather than letting the conference be always about our interaction with our students, it lets it be about the students' interaction with each other. So often the students who were doing the peer reviewing, they would actually have more experience with the documents, with the drafts than I would. So they were being expert readers. So a lot of times we say that they should value their peers' comments, but then they look for our feedback. But if the peer knows more than we do, then it gives the peer a chance to give the feedback.
It's an online teacher resource consisting of something like 750 minutes of instruction on defining plagiarism and strategies, how to avoid plagiarism. It's a website that teachers can go to, and based on what they want to cover for the for the day, they can just click on a link and download in Word document lesson plans on plagiarism. The impetus for the project was we were disappointed with how often we saw an emphasis on the punitive consequences of plagiarism rather than instructors focusing on defining it for their students in different contexts and giving them strategies for how to avoid it. It became this gotcha game.
Essentially, it's a lot of different lesson plans online. We felt, after doing a little bit of research and doing a small empirical study, that most teachers spend 2 days or less, or fewer, on plagiarism instruction. So the main goal is to increase the number of days spent on thoughtful plagiarism instruction.
All teachers have to do, 10 minutes before a class, they would just have to go to this website and click on what they want to use and download it. It includes the instructor materials, student materials, and the lesson plan. The what to do 5 minute in 5 minute increments or however the lesson plan is laid out.
I just walked up to my I was like, oh, that's high. Each student in our class, we published our own book. So at the end of the semester, each of us had our own book that we published. It can be like, hi, this is my book.
You want to show us? Ah, Mirror, Mirror on the Wall.
I actually spoke with a girl earlier this semester, and I remember her telling me how her teacher was making her write the 7-page book, and I was like, that's crazy. And I walked in, and there was the finished product, and I just felt so proud of her. And I was like, can you imagine saying, like, I wrote a book, I'm just a first year.
And we used the Thompson handbook extensively for revising our text, and we also had to add images to our book. So we had to go online and get different people to give us permission to use their images. And right after that was a bit challenging, but right after that we were getting graded to see how much our writing had improved from what it was at the start. And then we ended up with making our final changes, and then we ended up at lulu.com, which was an online publishing software, and we uploaded our book, designed our cover page, made sure everything was okay, looked through it one last time, and published it.
I'm actually an apparel design major, and I went to a presentation here at Purdue by Honduras sweatshop workers, and that was kind of the springboard for the rest of my project. I heard them speak about what was going on there in the sweatshops and how they tried to form a union, and Russell Athletics told them, if you form this union, we're moving the plant, you won't have a job anymore. So they were just speaking out, trying to get Purdue to cut off their contract with Russell Athletics. I took it a step further. I didn't just want to present the information about this is what sweatshops are. I took it a step further to consumer and company responsibility. The consumers knowing where their clothes come from, and the companies also knowing who is making their clothes, that history of their garments that comes with anyone who's wearing their clothes. There are websites online that have evaluated company practices, what's actually going on in the places, in the factories where their clothes are produced. And so, it does take a little bit of effort, but consumers really need to know about where their clothes are coming from.
My project is based on the freshman 15 that is commonly heard about but never really given a solution to. It's a common problem on college campuses.
The freshman 15 project, that one was really appealing visually. And it's awesome because freshman 15, I know what that is.
Writing this project, it taught me a lot about things that I'm already doing in marketing, but actually why we're doing that. Why we use such things like the rule of thirds and how to draw attention to certain parts of your project, and then also just different things working with group members. Once we were able to choose people's strengths and then use what their strengths are and then put that as what they're doing for the project, we were a lot more efficient and we got a lot more work done.
You found somebody who's doing the same project. Yeah. So tell me about that. Tell us about your own project and how that connects.
My own project is a website on the freshman 15 and how to lose it and how to maintain your weight here on campus. And he has the exact same project, which was really cool. And
Did you learn anything from what he's doing? Do you get any ideas?
Yeah, a few. I read it, and so I kind of like it. So I'm gonna take one of his little pamphlets, and I'm just gonna kind of also use him kind of as a resource. I think I'm gonna use their website and their project kind of as a resource for mine, some of their stuff that they found around campus, for some of my own ideas. For my project, I analyzed a poster that was in McCutcheon Dormitories, which is where I live. And for this poster, I analyzed the figure in the middle, which to me I perceived as emo, which is the style of clothing and music and just a general character. And then I also analyzed what happens if you change something in the poster. Like, what if you change the image? What if you change the colors? And then in the end, I found that it's not exactly what you put in the poster. It's the feeling or the emotion that it creates, and then that's how you make a poster like memorable.
Presentation-wise, I liked the punk rock thing, which is distinct. Probably, I think.
Which one?
Something which focused on emo or something.
Oh, the emo one. Yeah.
Something distinct. It was. So I didn't know what was it. So I went curious and then was studying that.
From writing this assignment, not only did I learn like how to analyze, which is very important for the field I'm going into, which is accounting, but then I also just learned more about colors and color schemes and what it takes to design a graphic. Because for the poster, I got it from the original creator, and then I went back and redesigned it off of Adobe Photoshop. And learning new tools itself is just quite interesting. A little hassle, but it's always worth it in the end to like learn things off technology.
When we had our research project at the end of the semester, I chose to write about something I was really passionate about, something I had to incorporate religion, writing, and not to be very biased. And it was really hard to find the information for my research paper since I was researching about Palestinian texts and their writing is in Arabic, and I'm not fluent in any way in Arabic, so I just searched online for a while, found stuff about maps, poems, television stations where they address anti-Semitic views in Palestinian territories. I learned that for each individual project, there's going to be a different audience, and that you have to connect your writing to the audience. And that's helped me out, not just with English, it's helped me out with engineering, because engineering is design, and you have to design something for a customer, for an audience, for a group of people. And every time I write something now, I think, who's my audience? Who am I selling this to?
My project was to identify a problem at Purdue and propose a solution to it. And I picked dining court. And currently the dining court at Purdue has an all-you-can-eat system. And I found out two problems to that. One is there are so many food waste comes out from it because there's no additional cost for students to grab one more plate. So people just irresponsibly leave like more food behind. And another problem was inflexible price, because every person has different portion of food they can eat. So I thought it's kind of unfair to charge everyone the same price. And I proposed the solution was it's changed to a la carte system, which is marking each item in a single price and taking out the trays. It was a really good experience for me to present my work in public situation, and it's really rewarding to get positive feedback from some people, instructors or students, and I learned a lot of what I missed or what I need to work on more.
It was a project that we started at the beginning of the school year. Actually, we do quick writes every day in class, and the week leading up to this project, our teacher had us actually writing little blurbs about like memories, and the quick write I chose to inspire my memoir was actually the punctum quick write. And a punctum is a picture that when you look at it, it takes you back to the moment you were there. And so my picture in question was of me as a little girl, 4 years old, holding my baby brother for the first time. I like the girl who had the paper about her and her brother's relationship, because she's talking about like how like she wanted to send her brother back to the hospital, and it was switched for me. It was my brother asking my mom to please take me back to the hospital because he didn't want a little sister. So it was kind of cool because her story just kind of flipped, but with me and my brother. When my teacher suggested to submit my memoir to the showcase, I actually had even more fun with it because I was going back and looking through old pictures, and I tried to keep that theme consistent throughout my whole project. So you'll see on my table there's a little yellow picture frame with the original picture from the punctum in it, and I try to model my board like that and then have my reflections and other pictures all in picture frames to kind of go with the whole picture theme.
Well, for my class, we did audio essays that we sent into the National Conversation on Writing. And my question was, why do Purdue students write? So I went around and got 20 students to tell me why they write. And it was really interesting. My audio essay came out really great because I had 20 different students on there in addition to my voice. And most of it ended up that they're writing because they have to, for school primarily. Well, I think it gave me a really good understanding of the average college student because I got people from all different majors and of different ages. And so it taught me like a lot about how everyone sees it as a whole, not just me.
In my project, I was able to capture the civil rights movement that happened on campus first semester when a couple incidents right after the President Barack Obama's election, some incidents of discrimination happened. So there was a civil rights movement and I captured it on video. There was an act of suspected discrimination at a local restaurant here on campus named XXX, and I was able to capture this message and then relay what the movement going on, and then also just give some information to the student body.
Can you tell me a little bit about the project that you're working on and how it relates to XXX?
Well, it's just the whole racism issue and the whole incident that happened earlier this school year with the fight and the argument that broke out and everything. It seemed like it paralleled what I was talking about on the website. So
can you tell me a little bit about your website?
Well, it was an example of how even though we have gotten rid of slavery, like there isn't really any active racism. It still really is a part of our everyday life. So that was just, it went to prove the point even more. And I was thinking about bringing it up on my website now as well.
I was able to go out there and capture the film, and then working with Movie Maker, which was my first time, was quite a task. But in the end, I learned that all the hard work really pays off, and how important it is to capture moments like this to save them.
It's about my relationship and my mom. It's more like when I was young, I used to think she doesn't love me because I thought she preferred boys more than girls, therefore she doesn't love me. But then I haven't thought about this problem for a long time till after my exchange program. I finally found this opportunity to think through and then find out that I was so wrong. And then I dig into it because of this project and find out that actually she does love me, and she couldn't help it that she preferred boys because that's our cultural background, and it has been there for like 5,000 years. She was my favorite project just because the situation wasn't exactly the same for me, but just the fact that she said she studied abroad and then she really learned to appreciate that. I feel like I've only studied abroad once in France, but I've been away from my parents several times for long periods of time, and I feel like it's during those moments when you're not with them that you really learn to appreciate them. And so just and like just the fact that hers had a lot of cultural background in it, I was like seriously tearing up when I read hers. I was like crying, and it just made me really homesick. And I really liked how, because she made it so personal, she was able to and she just had that effect on other readers.
It's because it's about my personal relationship with my mom and also the society background. At first it's kind of hard to mix them together. I don't know what type of language should I put into, like more emotional or more like just normal. But then after this project I kind of get that feeling like what to do with it.
I didn't really
have expectations when I came here, but once I walked in and I actually did look at things, I mean, especially Amanda's project, like, at least personally, I can really relate to, in a different way, what she went through. So it was nice to, I mean, it was kind of shocking in a way, but it was very relaxing as well. So it was really nice to see that other people go through similar experiences, like you're not always alone.
I also used the baby footprints to make the boy sign. Like say, like people, even the color is for girl, it's kind of pink and summerish, but it's a boy's son. I'm just trying to say, like, even you get a girl, but what you really want is a boy, which is really sad. And another thing is, like, even they are different, but the baby footprint, they are the same. I mean, it's not about girl, boy, it's your baby, and they're the same.
Oh no, I agree about the tea part as well. There was some. Oh no, there was some part of the pizza that I liked. I mean, you can understand it.